Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way.
God is the stillness deep in your center. God is the love that makes your own heart beat. God is the voice sweetly singing its glory. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way.
Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way.
God is the stillness deep in your center. God is the love that makes your own heart beat. God is the voice sweetly singing its glory. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way.
Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way.
He is the light.
God's
will is the way. Let faith be your sight. God's will is the way. We are the light. We are the way. Open your heart. Let the Lord have his own way. He is the light. God's will is the way. Let faith be your sight. God's will is the way. Oh, we are the light. We are the way. Open your heart. Let the Lord have his own way. He is the light. God's will is the way. Let faith be your sight. God's will is the way. We are the light. We are the way. Let open your heart. Let the Lord have his own way.
Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have his own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way.
Good morning. It is a good morning, isn't it? Well, I'd like to welcome you to our very own Center for Spiritual Living here in San Jose. This is a place where lives are being transformed and dreams are being built, and in everyone and everything, love is being revealed. And it all starts when we notice a habitual pattern of thought that even if we're just a little bit open to the possibility of changing our life, we take that habit of thought and we bring it out into the light, and we change our whole life. Welcome home. My name is Paula Stapleton, and like most of you here, I am an unlicensed, non-professional prayer practicer. Right? I'm also a member here at the center, and it is my privilege and my honor to welcome you here this morning. If this is your first time here, I'm so grateful to get to be the one that welcomes you. Thank you for being courageous and trying something new this morning. We are so happy that you're here that we bought you a present. And you'll find it at the concierge desk out in the fellowship hall afterwards, or even out in the lobby if you exit that way. If you want more information about the center, there's your bulletin. There's a wall that has information, flyers on it. We have a website. Give us a call. Also, I'd like to welcome our live streamers this morning. We have a new camera, a high-def camera. And it took off 20 years or 20 pounds? I'm not sure. I'm a really skinny adolescent right here. Yeah, woo! Changing your life. Your moderator this morning is Ron Wade, so let him know what you think of the new camera. So at this time, I want to encourage you to turn to someone around you and welcome them here.
Good morning. Happy solstice. Happy Hanukkah. So one of the things I love about our spiritual center, you look at the banners on the walls, the way we embrace all faith traditions. Worshiping God in any way is good. So my name is Gregory Merritt, and I'm delighted to be your professional prayer practitioner today. And having greeted God all around us, being present to that, now we're going to turn our gaze inward and just get connected with that divine presence within. So Michelle Jordan and company will lead us in the chant, taking us into that 2 minutes of silence, and then I'll offer the opening prayer and we'll do our community affirmation.
Join us as we sing together.
Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way. Open your heart, let the Lord have its own way.
The Creator, one power, one presence, one life, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Great Spirit, that Spirit that runs through and animates all life, that pure awareness. I know that I am that pure awareness. I know that that Holy Spirit runs through and animates me, delights in knowing and expressing itself as me. As I know this for myself, I know this for our entire congregation. Those gathered here in the sanctuary, youth and family ministry people, people online, people watching afterwards through the marvel of technology. So I know for us that we are one, that we dance that dance of the one. And in that dance, I know for us love, joy, harmony, peace. And this love shows up as that warm embrace in a relative you have not seen for months. This love shows up as eye contact and a smile as you pass someone in the mall. This love shows up as resentment released and hearts opened. Open your heart and let the Holy Spirit have its way with you. And let this season be a time for that joy and that remembrance of who we are. And for those of us who are facing challenges, perhaps the loss of a loved one, or other seeming difficulties, challenging circumstances, I know for those an extra helping of divine embrace. May the light of Spirit within you uplift you and shine brightly. For this is the truth of who you are. And I know for all of us that we live from that place, that we operate from that place, and the light that we are shines brightly into that community as we leave today. The world is a brighter place. And knowing this truth, my heart is full. I am glad, I am just so grateful to be here in this present moment with you for the miracle and magic that we create together. And so standing in this gratitude, I now release my word to that divine, loving action of the law. And join me in anchoring this prayer by saying, and so it is. All right, now if you would join me in the affirmation. I am vigorous and whole. I possess the vitality of the infinite. I am strong and well. God's life is my life now. God's strength is my strength. God's power is my power. My whole being is renewed, invigorated, made alive.
Good morning, and welcome to those that are joining us at this time. My name is Clay Wilson, and I have been a practitioner for the past 86 years. 14 of those was under license. After I retired 23 years ago, I began to explore in earnest the answer to the question, who am I? I knew about the many roles that I played: son, brother, uncle, husband, father, jet pilot, weather forecaster, and manager. But who am I? I have learned that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. What does that mean to me? Last year in mid-December, I spoke to you about my spiritual journey as outlined in my book, Molding Clay, Memories of My Journey. I was encouraged by some of the readers to write about my motivations and quest at a deeper level. This led to my publishing my second book, Sculpting Clay. This book is my effort to describe what has shaped me into becoming the person I am today. I dedicate this book to my mother, who encouraged me to think and challenge race thought. She actually inspired me to have the courage to be different. I acknowledge the influence of 6 ministers. First, Reverend Solomon Quash, who was a self-proclaimed minister in my hometown of Coatesville, Pennsylvania. He worked in the steel mill during the week to support his family of 7 children, and he preached on Sundays with passages from the Bible and his interpretation. When he received a DUI, I wrote him a letter of support from college. I learned from him that ministers and people are human beings to be accepted with their good points and their shortcomings. My second minister was Reverend Robert Eads, who was a formerly trained minister in State College, Pennsylvania, where I went to college. He helped me transition to manhood. My third was Reverend Sandra Jackson, a New Thought minister. My practitioner trainer challenged me to grow spiritually. The fourth was Reverend Marcia Sutton, who provided more spiritual leadership. She was my tour guide and traveler around the world. And she provided techniques to help me grow and be more at peace. Fifth was Reverend David Bruner, who challenged my belief system and motivated me to take action towards healing. Sixth was Reverend Catherine Dola Height of Oregon, who became my long-term spiritual counselor. She helped me heal error beliefs that I didn't even know I had. And she expertly led me to release strategies that no longer work for me. Many of my human experiences represent both my positive face and my shadow side. This book was published exactly as I wrote it, including some of my more explicit sexual experiences. I explore the contrast between the circumstances which I grew up with to how things have changed for me. Until I went to college, the toilet in my home was located outside beside the kitchen door. We had one sink with running cold water. This posed a challenge for a home with 2 parents and 4 children. We took baths in a tin tub in the kitchen twice per week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Water had to be heated in a pot on the stove. It was a challenge for my sisters and I to stand in line to get ready for school. I was often late and walking to high school about half a mile away, which upset the detention supervisor quite a bit. If I were writing the book today, it would be very different. I would talk about how some things have stayed the same. I would include how sad I am that both my sons have been humiliated many times by being stopped by police when they were obeying all traffic laws. I would express shock and outrage at the number of young black men that have been killed recently by law. I would add that I am outraged and shocked by the killing yesterday in New York of 2 young white policemen. I would talk about how much I grieve for all parents that lose their sons to violence. I would talk about how encouraged I am that so many black men and women have become positive thinking, law-abiding, successful adults. I am encouraged that many young people have not experienced discrimination. I am hopeful that we actually achieve a world that works for everyone. And so it is.
Singing a song.
Oh.
One more time, one more time. It's all right, baby. Sometimes you know things happen. The radio started playing. Paul, you got a mic on?
Light a candle for the old man who sits staring at a frosty window pane. Light a candle for the woman who is lonely, and every Christmas it's the same. For the children who need more than presents can bring. Light a candle, light the door, light the world, light a heart or two. Light a candle for me, light a candle for you. Light a candle for the homeless and the hungry, a little shelter from the cold. Light a candle for the broken and forgotten. May the season warm their souls. Can we open our hearts to shine through the dark? Light a candle, light the dark, light the world, light a heart or two. Light a candle for me, light a candle for you.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Karen Fedor. This is Madeline Zimmerman, and this is Debbie
Scheckman.
Thank you. We're going to light the 5th candle this morning. Tonight we'll light the 6th one. You're doing this part.
Oh, not alone.
Oh, here, you do this part.
Okay, good. All right. Ready? Mm-hmm. There you go. Woohoo! Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Blessings for the holiday. Whatever you celebrate, Shalom Aleichem. It's okay. There you go.
Someone pray. Thank you, ladies, very much. It's I find myself moved every year when our band of rebels, these three, get up here and sing, because they do so without reservation or hesitation, not caring what you or I think, but they do so simply because they have something to express. So actually a lot of noise from this congregation would be appreciated. Thank you. So Merry Christmas and Happy Solstice. It becomes winter today at 3:06 p.m., so they say. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, and anything else that you might be celebrating about, which we don't know yet. My name is David Bruner, and I am the Senior Minister and the Spiritual Director here at Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm very grateful to be here where we're doing songs about Jesus and Hanukkah. You know, and at the same time also we are noticing as a congregation and as a community we begin to mature. And I'm noticing as we're maturing, our conversations are becoming more real, less superficial. There's not so many drive-bys now where you just smile, hello, how you doing, love your shoes. And then, hello, how you doing, love your shoes, my heart is broken, sit down, I want to tell you about it. And Clay, thank you for your expression. And I realize as well that that's not everyone's viewpoint. And what I'm loving about the center is that every one of us has a view that is appropriate for our own experience. And what's beautiful is the center itself doesn't make a declaration as to any conclusion, because God's still progressing as you and I, and the conclusion hasn't been drawn yet because you and I haven't prayed about it. So I'm watching my country and my neighborhood and my community mature, and I'm very grateful to be a part of that. And I'm grateful that we all have a voice, everyone, even the dissenting voices. Our topic today is called The Great Goal, and the great goal comes from the last passage that I'll be using this year from our book of the year, which is called A New Design for Living. In fact, this is my last Sunday here in 2014. Because next Sunday I will be in Houston with family members celebrating Christmas, and our Sunday speaker will be we'll have her first time on the pulpit on the stage here. She's Reverend Maureen Ross. Now, Maureen is not just an amazing woman, an amazing minister, an amazing licensed prayer practitioner. She's an extraordinary minister in that she has a command of the stage that is it's mature way beyond her years as a minister. I'm serious. I no longer do funerals and weddings and memorials and baptisms, with rare exception, but I frequently sit in the back of the room, or will drop in and experience Reverend Maureen on the stage. She's extraordinary with metaphor and storytelling, and she keeps touching base with her. I should sit here and just learn from her. And she will be speaking next Sunday for the first time as one of our ministers, and I hope you can make it. And if you're not here, maybe you can watch the archiving later on. No matter where you are, have a very happy holiday. That was a long way around what I started to say about our book of the year. Our book is, the topic title is The Great Goal, and I want to know, what's the great goal? Like, just tell me what my great goal is and I'll take it on. Just tell me what it should be and I'll do it. And then I buy the books, like How to Lose Weight in 27 Seconds, how to, the cover of every Cosmo or Men's Health magazine is How to Have Better Sex Tonight. And I always flip through to those pages because I want the instructions that I've been missing for so long. Don't you? We want the instructions. I know there's kids underage here. Please forgive me. But they might as well know what they're in for. And where to get it. Cosmopolitan and Men's Health magazine. So I go to those pages because I want to know. So I was flipping through the book really quick to find out, well, what is the great goal? What is my great goal? What is the great goal? People online right now who are watching, by the way, with our new high-definition cameras, let me know how those are working for you and how it's panning out. It's good to have you online. We want to know, what is the great goal? And reading the words of Ernest Holmes, who's the man who synthesized our faith tradition, he didn't invent it. He didn't make it up. He didn't have any great revelations. He synthesized what the world already had to offer. And he invited you and me to take it in, try it on, and apply it to see if it really works. And what he had to say about the great goal, he said the great goal is to express more and more of God's nature through ourselves. The goal is to express more and more of his nature, more and more of her nature in ourselves. The goal is to express more and more. And as I read that this week, I had this visceral experience of remembering a moment of revelation on my bicycle on the Guadalupe Parkway, bike trail, headed out to the bay towards the end where the trail ends. And I had a revelation. And the revelation is that, David, the happiest day of your life hasn't happened yet. So I've been here 15 years, and in these 15 years, I've learned to pay attention, to listen, feel the pulse of the community, observe as much as I can, and surround myself with people who know more than me. And those people who know more than me tell me what's really going on and what I ought to know. And here's the summary that I have. I dare say a majority of folks in this room think that the best time of their life is behind them. Think that their happiest day, their richest day, their sweetest day, their most contented day, their sexiest day, their most peaceful day is behind them. And what's present for them now or ahead of them is simply trying not to die, trying not to move up another 2 pant sizes, trying not to get cancer, not to get AIDS, not to get diabetes, trying not to get fired, trying not to get divorced, trying not to get evicted, trying not to get bankrupt or foreclosed upon. And that's how we're using the power of God, trying not to do something. But what if I told you that this is when I get kind of weepy. I become Jane Beach for a minute. Those of you who don't know who Reverend Jane Beach is, you're in for a treat because she's going to speak here in January. The best day of your life hasn't happened yet. And as soon as you think it's happening, it still hasn't happened yet. I'm done. Except I'm not done because I like to talk. I got a few more things to toss at your way for those of you who would want a little more. Those of you who don't, please feel free to get online and text your friends and do so silently. Pre-order me a decaf Sumatra from Phil's. I'll pick it up. It takes 45 minutes to get it. So there's a spiritual truth, and the spiritual truth is that we hear a lot here is that you and I are perfect, whole, and complete. We're perfect, we're whole, and we're complete. You're perfect. God doesn't make junk. You're perfect. God didn't invent you sort of half-baked, waiting for you to be finished baking here on planet Earth. You didn't come here really to learn anything, although you do learn things. Like you didn't come here to learn that fire is hot, but you learn very quickly when you put your hands on a stove and burn yourself that fire is hot. So there is a lesson, but it's not a cosmic lesson like now you're more complete spiritually. You just learn that it works better not to put your hands on fire. Did you get that? Some of you got that. Some of you didn't. Did you get that? So I don't believe that any one of us has anything we have to learn, that we came to this lower, denser form of being that you had to get, that you didn't already get when you're plugged into the thing itself. I don't believe it. But then some people, wait, then my life has no meaning. Yes, exactly. And so you're making up meaning all the time. You're making it up, what it means, what it means, what it means. It only means this: the best day of your life hasn't happened yet. And you're gearing up for it right now. Today's like a great test run for the best day of your life. And you are perfect and whole and complete. And you may spend the rest of your life finally getting it, to just get what you already got, to get what you got. But you don't have to get it because you already got it. But you may want to get it. Did you get it? Okay, now we're warming up. Now we're about to preach. So the spiritual truth is you're whole and you're perfect and you're complete. So if you are shy, you're perfect. And if you're outgoing and gregarious, you're perfect. And if you like to take vacations in a luxurious hotel, you're perfect. And if you like to put some dried food in a knapsack and head off into the Santa Cruz Mountains, you're perfect. If you like to sleep in, you're perfect. If you like to get up early, you're perfect. If you prefer the 9:30 service, you're perfect. And if you prefer the 11 o'clock service, you're perfect. And nobody has a say in who you love and how you love and where you worship and what you worship and how you worship except for yourself. But sometimes you're going to bump up against people who won't agree with you. And it's up to you to take a stand, but to take a stand in such a way that you're not knocked over, but you yourself don't become tarnished and a bully too. You know, to find that middle ground. But you're not going to find that middle ground in your head, I think. You're going to find that middle ground when you have a relationship with something that knows what to do when you don't know what to do, because we don't really have role models for this. Except I have a feeling some are going to be born right now. So there's a holiday that we're celebrating today. It's Hanukkah, and Hanukkah is a great example of how you and I can take a stand for what we are and to make an impact in the world and the future of generations that will follow us. It reminds us that we're perfect and whole and complete. And we get a chance to explore that. Now, Hanukkah is not the second-class Christmas. Hanukkah is not the holiday that Jewish parents invented so that their Jewish kids get presents like all their Christian kids. Hanukkah is a holy day, a holy period in which, in Jewish custom and Jewish tradition, you explore and retell the stories of how it came to be. You have an opportunity to get together as family and friends and community, and an opportunity to apply the story into your life and to my life and into the lives of our kin. So really, the story of Hanukkah is you light up my life. So please turn to someone near you right now and say, you light up my life. I knew Debbie Boone was going to hit the room. The front row is singing Debbie Boone, You Light Up My Life. So, you know what I love about the Jewish traditions is you cannot have a Jewish holiday without telling stories. It's not possible. The holidays are all about stories. Because it's an opportunity for older generations to tell younger generations spiritual truths cloaked in story form, and an opportunity for those kids to know a little bit about their heritage, but also how to apply these spiritual truths. Also, there is a Jewish proverb that God so loves stories that he invented people. And so, in honor of Hanukkah, we're going to tell the tale of Hanukkah today, like how it came to be and why it's so, and why it should matter to you on Clark Street, or you online, wherever you are, in Poughkeepsie. Why it should matter to you. So, like any good story, it always starts with, like any good hero tale, it always starts when the story is good. Once upon a time, everything was good. The Jews were happy, they were prosperous, they were content, and they were living in the Persian Empire in an area called Judea. And they were under the rule of a man named Alexander the Great. And Alexander was a great man. He was a great leader. He inspired the people who followed him. He inspired them into greatness because he allowed them to be who they are, to be how they are, and to express more and more of their own good without opposing his own ideas onto them. So there was harmony and order. And under his rule, a great civilization was prospering, and the Jewish folk built a temple high up on the hill above Jerusalem. And in the temple, they built an ark. And in the ark, they put what they were commanded to put. And that would have been the stone tablets that they say were those which Moses carried down from Sinai. And the first Torah, which was handwritten by Moses, and a few other things, maybe some flashlights in case of an earthquake. And this was kept in the temple. And hooray for Alexander the Great, because he didn't try to oppress or oppose them. But then, unfortunately, Alexander died. And who came into leadership was a short-lived king. He died, but then his brother Antiochus became king. And Antiochus was the antithesis of Alexander the Great, because Antiochus didn't like the Jews. He thought they were weird, they were different, they dressed funny, they spoke a different language, and it wasn't Greek. And they did not worship all the Hellenistic gods. They worshipped a monotheistic God. They were monotheistic and monolithic. And that scared him. And you know, a lot of fear often turns to hate. We hate people. I hate her. I hate the way she dresses. I hate the way she talks. I hate the way she worships. I hate the way she eats. Mostly it's fear of differences. And before I go, I don't want to belabor this point, but I'm not going to go forward without mentioning to you that every good story that has a spiritual truth in it is not a story that you're listening to. It's you, and you are every player in it, and so am I. You are Alexander the Great, and you are Antiochus, and so am I. You and I are Alexander the Great when we are allowing people to be what they are. When we're practicing what David Rico calls the 5 A's of how to be an adult in relationship. When you are allowing, when you are affectionate, when you are attentive, when you are, I don't remember the other 2, but Reverend Maureen will tell you those next week. When you're appreciative, and what else? Accepting, when you're accepting. So the 5 A's, accepting. Let's just accept that I didn't get it right now, but I've got it in my phone, which is over there. So we are Alexander the Great when we are adult in relationships, when we are allowing and appreciative and accepting and attentive. We're also Antiochus when we're oppressive and afraid and trying to manipulate and control and trying to limit people. Have you ever tried to limit people? Have you ever tried to limit people? And the rest of you are fibbing. You know, the Course in Miracles says, you who cannot control your own life should hardly aspire to control the universe. But we do try to limit people and control them. Even if not out loud, we do it in our consciousness. Actually, I think mandated movie watching for anyone wanting to learn about Hanukkah should watch Pretty Woman. It's a big leap, I know. But a holier tale was never told. Because what we learn in Pretty Woman is that the people who were in her environment were judging her for who they thought that she was. Now, I know you never do that with bikers, people with tattoos or body piercings, people who might be a different color or a different religion or a different body type than you, or how about conservative talk show hosts? I knew I'd get you somewhere. How about evangelical preachers? Yeah, exactly. And what you're thinking about them is creating something for your life. And that's what the story of Hanukkah is about. Not limiting folks. Because when you're not limiting, freedom and prosperity and peace emerges. And when you try to constrict and limit, bad things happen. Pestilence and plague and traffic. It's in the Bible. I read it. So Pretty Woman. Here she is. She's matched up with a rich guy. She's a hoe. Isn't that the term? It's a thought. Oh. I'm getting an education. It's a thought. That hoe over there. Anyway, she is a prostitute who is well matched for a good business arrangement, and the man is a good man, and she's a good woman. She's a good woman. And he's a good man. And he gives her his credit card, and he says, go shopping. Because she's dressed in like 1980s hooker clothes, which many of you still have in your closet. Hoping that you will one day fit into them again. Because those members-only jackets are back. God help us, right? I'm looking forward to the day that the tuxedos with the 747 wing collars and the big frilly ruffled shirts. I'm looking forward to that coming back. So she's not dressed appropriately for the hotel in which she's staying, and so she goes shopping on Rodeo Drive. And what you'll know if you've seen the film, and what you don't if you haven't, is this. She walks into the shop, and the shopkeepers have a dialogue in their head and even with each other, whispering about her, because they've already determined who she is and what she's about. They've already decided who she is. In their consciousness, they have determined who she is, and therefore they treat her that way. They ignore her. And she's frustrated and sad, like you imagine, and so she leaves, and she goes to another shop with somebody who helps her. And she comes back a little while later, laden with bags and boxes, laden with very expensive bags and boxes. And she peeks her head into that same shop and says to the girls, the shop clerks, "Are you on commission?" And they said yes. And she goes, "Big mistake." Big mistake. When we try to limit other people, when we try to limit other people, we get trouble. Trouble happens. And so Antiochus kept trying to limit the Jewish folk, and he limited them by a lot like North Korea and Sony Pictures right now. It doesn't work. See, those of you who have been watching the news or listening at all know that Sony was putting out a pretty risque film, a tongue-in-cheek satire about killing the leader of North Korea, and it looked stupid tongue-in-cheek, but this is the United States in which free speech, et cetera, and some folks in North Korea have then threatened all kinds of scary, threatening things for any movie theater that presents it, such that they refuse to play the movies, and now Sony has retracted the film, and they pulled it. But it's interesting. Pull a film, and virtually everybody in the world now wants to watch that film. Now, I had no desire to see it whatsoever. Now I can't wait to get my hands on a copy. See, this is what happens when you limit people. Really, it's what happens when you limit people. Any teen will tell you this about alcohol. So I better move on. So Antiochus was having temper tantrums, and he didn't like what they were doing and what they were up to. He didn't like the way they were practicing. He wanted to limit them, control them, and tell them that they should do it like he was. So he forbade their worship in the temple. He, in fact, defiled the temple. He brought Hellenistic statues of Greek gods, not a bad thing in their own environment, but not in the Jewish temple. And he brought them in and put them in the temple. And then he slaughtered a pig in the temple. And then he got the blood all over the ark in the temple, which is a big F-U. Massive. Like, if you're not Jewish, you can hardly even understand what a big F-U that is. And And what we've learned is that trying to tell people they can't or oppress them just doesn't work. If it did, I'd be straight. And we know that's not going to happen. Don't laugh that much. Holy moly, I could pass. Wow. Look how fast those candles are burning down. So the Jews had to stand up to scary people now. They had to stand up to some scary people because they were forbidden from worshiping the way they wanted to worship. And they were told they had to bow down in front of the Hellenistic statues, and they didn't want to do it. You know? And there were those who were afraid, and they did. And before you purse your lips, I personally don't know anybody who hasn't at one time in their life secretly tried to pass as something else. You know? Like maybe you tried to pass as Republican. Maybe not. Maybe you tried to pass as a Democrat. Maybe you tried to pass as more liberal than you really are. Maybe you said you never popped your kids when you really did. Maybe you said you had a college education and you don't. And we don't need to have judgment about it, but there are people who passed. They tried to pass, so they bowed down in front of statues, except, this is where the story gets interesting, a Maccabee, a man who refused to bow down, refused. See, this is where the story emerges. When you and I, like a Maccabee, we refuse to yield to what the news has to say. See, many of us bow down to the news. We do. We bow down to the news. The news says it's the worst storm ever. We bow down and we hanker down. The news says 27% of you are going to have X disease. 27% of us will get it. We bow down to it. So he refused to bow down, one of the Maccabee brothers. And the guards grabbed him by the back of the neck and tried to shove his neck down to bow. And that's when he threw off the guard and he said, "Whoever is for God and his laws, follow me." And 5 brothers ran off and got away, and a few other villages. And they then created something that was way underestimated. They created a band of rebels. Don't underestimate a band of rebels. Every foundations class I ever taught was a band of rebels. How many of you were ever in one class that I taught? You are a band of rebels. Every class, advanced class that Reverend Susan or any other minister here has taught, or practitioner or licensed practitioner or emeritus or graduated, has been a band of rebels. The choir who's here once a month is a band of rebels. Tammy, you are a rebel. The worship, praise and worship team today, they are a band of rebels. Trust me, the kids in that room over there today, they are a band of rebels. That means anyone who is not going to stand in the face of adversity and resist. They're going to plug through it, push through it, walk over it, knock it down, go under it. They're going to do whatever preposition they need to do to move past it, because they're a band of rebels. Ann Marshall's sister who's here, Jane Salvati Neves, she's a rebel with her own band going on in her head. A band of rebels. See, a band of rebels are not to be underestimated, but they are. And if you're not in a band of rebels right now, get one. Get one. Because here's what happened. That band of rebels were strong enough to inspire even a few that were afraid. And those few that were inspired now created a bigger band that was no longer afraid, which inspired a larger cadre of people who were no longer afraid. And that inspired even a bigger cadre of people who were no longer afraid. And then those people were able to hammer through. Now, there's something interesting to know. A direct translation of the word Maccabee is hammer. And I think it's appropriate because they hammered back the Greeks. They hammered it back. Now, any carpenter worth his salt will probably tell you that the bigger the nail, the heavier the blow you need to give it to get that nail in. And some of you might say, well, if I've been thinking this way for 49 years, can one affirmation blow it away? Well, possibly yes, probably not. You may have to give it, the bigger the trouble, the longer the thinking, the bigger the blow you may have to get it with your affirmations, your prayers, your treatments, your therapy sessions. But if you keep at it, and you stay strong in it, you will be surrounded by people like you who will help you through it. Anybody in a 12-step program will know and probably tell you. When they first started, they didn't know how to become sober. They didn't know how to be non-sexually compulsive. They didn't know how to not be addicted to drugs. But they hung around people who did. If you don't know what to do, hang around people who do. Stop hanging around people who are living lives you don't like, because you will parrot it, mimic it, recreate it. Stop it. Some of you are going to go, well, then I'm not going to have any friends. And that's a bad thing? Because see, once you have a vacancy or a void, new things can come into being that won't be there when your time is spent with people who are furthering what's not working. So, as we get towards the end of the story, Antiochus was upset now because of all this. He was really upset because there was some pushback. He didn't want pushback. He said, annihilate them, destroy them. And so he told his Greek army that tomorrow put on your heaviest armor and smite them, destroy them. And so the next morning, the Greeks got up and they put on their heaviest armor. Their heaviest armor. Oh, silly boys. Don't we know what happens when we put on our heaviest armor? Here's the armor we put on, you and me. Typically, we put on defend, protect, and blame. That's the armor we have on every day. We get up in the morning, we put on our defending armor. I didn't do it. It's not my fault. I wasn't trained. You didn't tell me how to do that. I've been trying to reach you for years. I didn't get your email. We're defending. Protecting is pretty close to that. And then blaming. We actually tune up our blaming. We really have to work on tuning up our blaming gear. Blaming and defending and protecting. That is the heavy armor. And that will get you like it got the Greek army, dead. It will get you dead. Defending, protecting, and blaming will get you dead. Or it will give you a life like you're dead. Mostly trying not to be dead. Just existing. But we started that way today, didn't we? So what we know is because they were so heavily laden that they were no match for the Maccabees, who were swift and quick and kicked their butts. That's, I think, what it says in the Torah. Kicked their butts. It did. But probably which means kick their butt. Somebody look it up. I better end this. Yeah, it's time to end it. So they won. And now it comes to my favorite part of the story. It's one we almost never hear. We almost never hear this. They went into the temple. That's profound. They went into the temple and they wept. They wept. Because their candle had been destroyed. And they had a candle that was always lit, like this one. It's a reminder that God's on duty. And it was out. But they didn't have these kind of candles that you could buy at the local Catholic supply. You can have them mailed to you through Amazon. And if you're a Prime customer, it's free. They didn't have that. They had to make oil. They had to make it. I mean, not go buy it. They had to make it. Like make it. I didn't know people made oil. I thought you just get it. And take the cap off. And look at the expiration date. They had to make oil. And in order to make oil that's appropriate for the temple, it takes 8 days. 8 days. And they had enough for 1 day. And they decided, after they wept, they wept. And I don't mean like the kind of weeping we do that prolongs our trouble, like we're weeping that prolongs our addictions, it prolongs our upset, it prolongs our not seeing the doctor, the dentist, or a therapist. They wept. The kind of weeping that you and I have when we have an experience of God and then we experience that it's absent. When we're filled with love, and then we experience a void. When a beloved departs and goes to the other side. Weeping. But then the Jews did something that we should learn from, and it's how we close the story. They wept, and then they took action. They didn't spend the rest of their lives weeping, gnashing teeth. They tell the story over and over so that it's not forgotten and so their youth will remember and practice it. But then they got to work. They started cleaning the temple. And they decided they had enough oil for one day, and they thought, we're going to go ahead and light it anyway. And they did. And the miracle of Hanukkah is that it burned not just for one day, and not just 2, and not 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or even 7 days. It burned for 8 days. And it took the first step. And the first step for them was lighting the candle. So they took the first step, lighting the candle. They took the first step, lighting the candle, and the rest was up to God. How about you? Let's pray. Swiftly and easily and quickly. All is well, and so it is. And that's all there is. So the ushers are going to come forward and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And while they do, who here's going with us to Bali in 2 weeks? Lisa, you're the first that I saw. Lisa, somebody who went to Bali last year wanted to give those books to somebody who's going to Bali this year. If you don't want them, pass them to any of those others who had their hands up. Sorry, KT. KT, I saw you're second. If Lisa doesn't want them, she'll pass them on to you. Please say with me our giving affirmation, will you? I give and receive freely, generously, with an open heart and an open mind. I am eager to give more than I receive, and I surrender my heart to the universe.
Fire burning flames of light, fire burning flames of light, fire burning flames of light. So join us as we sing it from the top. There's a flame of light burning in my soul. Together, shining in the night. There's a flame of light burning in my soul. Together, shining in the night. We are one voice. We are one light. Shining so bright. Singing in the night. Singing in the night. We are one voice. We are one light. Shining so bright. Singing in the night. Fire burning flames of light. 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 Fire burning flames of
That is our praise and worship team under the direction of Michelle Jordan. Billy, Dwayne, Tammy, thank you so much. Thank you for your amazing music. Hi, everybody. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm Susan Overland. I'm your assistant minister. I have some announcements to share with you, and I will start off with Paula.
Hello. On behalf of the Women's Connection, I want to invite the ladies to come out on Friday night. Here we're going to have a games night and have pizza and not beer. We're going to have pizza and coffee. Just for a fun Friday night, and it's free. So come out and play with us.
Is that all the single ladies?
I get it. I get it.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer, the director of the Youth and Family Program here. And I'm here to tell you about how you can be in service in the Youth and Family Program. And when I say you, I mean you. We are currently, the way our program is staffed currently, we are in need of 34 volunteers. 34. No, per month. Per month. Okay, per month. But what it means to serve in youth and family is to serve one service, one Sunday a month. So if you cannot ever separate yourself from the second service with David and Michelle and all the wonderful things that happen in here, there are still 4 services at 9:30 each month, and you only need to do one. It's 2 hours once a month on one Sunday. It's not the teaching position, it's being an assistant in a classroom to support the lead teacher and to support the children in our community. We want a world that works for everybody, including our youth. And what that means is a single sheet application that ushers are going to hand to anybody who stands up right now and says they are called to serve. I'm asking you to set your intention for 2015 in support of our program that is not going to just be restored, it's going to grow and thrive and be explosive. So we really need you. So if you are interested, we're going to have these passed out. And just a little bit of a challenge. First service, we had 18 people come and get forms. So just throwing down the gauntlet, second service. I expect to see bigger numbers, all right? And you bring the form to me at the table or take it home and bring it next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Stand up. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you for being willing to stand for something in 2015, especially the future of this community and others. Thank you so, so much. All right, very briefly, Clay Wilson, who gave our Insight talk today, has his new book, Sculpting Clay, and if you would like a signed copy, that will be available after service. Clay, they buy it in the bookstore, correct? Yes, buy it in the bookstore and then bring it to Clay for a signature. A couple of things that are not happening this week. The Tea and Miracles group will not happen for the next 2 weeks because they meet on Thursdays, and they're going to be busy on December 25th and January 1st. So they will resume the first Thursday in January. Satsang will not happen for the next 2 weeks either, because we would love for you to come this Wednesday night at 7 to our Christmas Eve candle lighting service. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. It's beautiful. It's sacred. The music is once again remarkable, as always, with Michelle at the lead in our choir. And then on New Year's Eve, that's from 7 to 8-ish. And then on New Year's Eve, we have our New Year's Eve service that will be facilitated by Kathy Homara, who's a practitioner, a ministerial student, and our practitioner students. They put on a lovely service on New Year's Eve. It's only from 6:30 to 7:30, so you can come in all your New Year's Eve finery and bling, and then go off to your parties and such after you've released what you want to release from 2014 and and welcome in 2015. Speaking of welcoming in 2015, as you know, Reverend Maureen will be up next Sunday. Dr. David and I will both be away, but we'll return on January 4th as the kickoff for our brand new theme. So there'll be new banners and a beautiful new theme launching then. So if we don't see you over the holiday break, if you're traveling, we look forward to seeing you the first of the year. And before you go away for the holidays, we don't want this to get lost in the shuffle. Our winter classes are starting, and we have 3 phenomenal classes that are available for you this winter, and they start the very first week in January. So you can register at the concierge, you can register at home. We have Foundations, which again is the very basic foundations class of what we teach. It's the prerequisite for all of our certificated classes. We go over the 9 core concepts and principles and spiritual practices. It is being, again, I think I said it's being facilitated by Reverend Maureen, so you can register for that. If you've taken it before, you can audit it for like a nominal or no fee kind of thing, and we make it possible for everyone to take that class. So if you need scholarship assistance, please talk to the registrar, Max Overland, after service. He's a pretty nice guy. He'll help you out. I'm keeping him. On Monday nights, also, Reverend Megan is teaching Essential Ernest Holmes. This is another really awesome class. It's 10 weeks really diving into Ernest Holmes' teachings and writings, but it's done so with a view of contemporary application, right? Contemporary applications of science of mind. So it's awesome. You really go deeper and deeper into his teachings. And then on Thursday, you can spend 8 weeks with Reverend Doris and Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's like heaven. It's all exploring his writings, and of course, he was a huge influence on Ernest. So take some time between now and when we return, or when you return in January, to register online, see the concierge, and hopefully you can be in classes this winter. There's a bunch of workshops coming up. I'll tell you more about that when we return from the break. And, outreach. I don't want to leave without reminding you that in January we have a brand new outreach project starting, and it's bringing warmth to the homeless. So we're going to be collecting outerwear, ponchos, sweaters, coats. Did I say ponchos? Yes, because I'm that old. And and also socks. So the clothing, the outerwear, can be new or gently used, but the socks need to be new, please. We don't want your old socks. Nobody wants that. And the staff offices will be closed. Starting this Wednesday, we're going to let the staff go like a half a day. I mean, we'll be getting ready for Wednesday night, but it's a half a day Wednesday, and then the staff offices will reopen on January 5th. So, yeah, it's a gift for our very, very hardworking staff, and God knows it takes work.
To work with you?
Happy holidays, everybody.
It does take work to work with her. So please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left, and won't you repeat after me, as is our custom. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my relationships.
Life is in my finances.
Life is in my finances.
Life is in my holidays.
Life is in my holidays.
I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it. Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
And just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.